play stupid games, and win stupid prizes. Hi, my name is James, and this is my take on reality. In this episode, I wanted to talk about an article that's been making its way around YouTube concerning Kody Brown and his sister wives. In this article, they describe a situation where the three ex-wives, Mary, Christine, and Janelle, are meeting with an attorney possibly seeking spousal support from Kody. Now, before we get into this topic, because I know a lot of people are really anxious to talk about it, or at least hear my thoughts on it, I wanted to first thank all my subscribers and everybody who's subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you guys supporting me. You're helping to grow the channel. Thank you so much. I also want to thank anybody who takes time to watch these videos. That's awesome of you, and I really appreciate you being generous with your time. And if you are watching the videos and you're not yet subscribed, I would encourage you to subscribe. It really helps the channel out. It helps me out. And hey, who doesn't want to help a brother out? So give me that HBO special by clicking the subscribe button down below and ringing the bell for notifications. Now let's get it. Now, the first thing is, when we start talking about possible litigation, now I am not an attorney, and I am going to view this from the perspective of if I was in any one of these wives' situation, some of the things I may talk to my attorney about and some of my expectations walking into a meeting with an attorney, a consultation with an attorney. Now, keep in mind, just because there's a news report out there that some of these ladies are seeking legal advice on possibly suing Kody, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. One, two, just because you meet with an attorney doesn't necessarily mean that you have a case. And even if you have a case, it doesn't necessarily guarantee victory. If you're ever in an attorney's office and they guarantee a win, get up, shake their head, and walk out of that office as quickly as you can because you have a bad attorney. Now, when I look at this case, one of the things that has always kind of popped up in, at least in my comment section for some of my videos, is the idea that Christine, Mary, and Janelle might be able to take Kody to court for child support. Now, when we talk about child support would be very difficult for Mary and even for Janelle to attain because, as it turns out, Mary's child is actually way older than 18 in the age of majority, and therefore she's not eligible for child support. In Janelle's case, Savannah actually just turned 18 back in December of last year. So with that being said, she's not eligible for child support. In Christine's case, her daughter truly would be the only person who would be eligible for Christine to be able to take Kody to court and get any type of child support. So that's one for Christine. She definitely could get child support. I know there's a lot of questions as far as her filling out certain documentation saying that she didn't know who the father was. Kody is the father. He acknowledges that he's the father. And therefore, any money that the state or anybody may have paid to them in the form of subsidies or any kind of thing like that would be something that they could work out. And it doesn't get Kody off the hook for being responsible, or at least financially responsible, for his child truly. Now, when it comes to spousal support, unfortunately, I don't think that any of the wives are eligible for spousal support. In the first instance, you have Janelle and Christine, who are never married to Kody. These are basically his girlfriends. You know, and I don't want to be crass, and I certainly don't want to be disrespectful to these ladies or their families. But as far as the legal court is concerned and the law is concerned, they have no more rights than if they had just met Kody at a bar and they took him home. Like it's just that simple. When rubber meets the road, unfortunately, if you had a friend or one of your kids or your daughter came to you and said, hey, mom, dad, I want to do polygamy and I'm going to be the fourth wife, that would be part of the concern. And part of what you would warn them against is that they don't have legal protections. If something happens in that marriage, you don't walk away with anything except for what you go into it with and what you're able to accumulate yourself. You don't have any legal protections. Now, this actually goes both ways because in Christine's case, because she had that house and she sold that house and it was entirely in her name, that's why Kody didn't have any rights to that house whatsoever. It didn't matter whether he agreed with the deal that she had laid out for him or the generosity that she bestowed upon him by saying, hey, I'll give you Coyote Pass, you just let me walk away with the house. She had the house regardless because the house was in her name and her name alone. And she was not married to Kody. And because she wasn't married to Kody, she didn't have to go to divorce court. She didn't have to do any financial settlements, so on and so forth. Now, the only person who the question may even kind of be applicable to would be Mary. In Mary's case, she was married to Kody previously. But unfortunately for Mary, because she got a divorce, all of her financial or any financial responsibility Kody would have had to her would have had to have been settled during the divorce in the divorce decree. Meaning that when she got divorced from him and they signed that paper so that Robin could marry him, then anything that they agreed upon in that document is what she has. You can't go back and say, I didn't like the deal or he didn't do the thing he said he was going to do. If he was supposed to do something, you have to get it included in your divorce decree. So unfortunately for them, I don't really think there's a whole lot of room for them to be able to even get like cohabitation or palimony. And that's technically a California-based law where you would get not being a married person. Married people typically would get alimony. So if you got divorced and you didn't work and your husband worked, or you didn't work and your wife worked, then you could sue her for alimony so that you can maintain the same lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to, or they can maintain you. However, in California, they have palimony where you don't necessarily have to be married, and it's more of a common law type litigation matter where there are promises made, you didn't get married, the person you were dating, sexually involved with, said that they would take care of you, you separate, they're still on the hook to take care of you. That law does not exist in Arizona where Kody and the wives lived. So unfortunately, I don't think that that's a possibility. Now, with all that being said, there is a way that I think Kody may be vulnerable. And this is a lot of speculation on my part because I'm not sure exactly how their money is divided or how everything comes in and goes out or what the case may be. But just from the information that I've been able to observe and the things that I've picked up from the show, I'll make this assertion. I think that initially Kody had a business, or at least a limited liability corporation called Kody Brown Entertainment, LLC. And Kody Brown, as well as his wives, were all partners in this business. And from what I understand, when he received money from Sister Wives or any of the other ventures that they had connected to Sister Wives programming, all that money would come in through the business. Now, the reason why he may have done this, and this is, again, speculation. The reason why he very well may have set this LLC up was in the event that he did get into trouble for his polygamy. If he got into trouble for his polygamy, they would not be able to go after the assets that sat within the LLC because that would be a separate entity, a separate business. So in that instance, the LLC or the business would protect those assets, protect that income, and protect that money. So it would be a way for him to try to sidestep. And this is how I imagine a conversation going when he encouraged the wives to participate in this. It's a way that if we ever get into trouble and the government comes in and they talk about they want to start taking assets or seizing assets, if we have everything listed under the LLC, then they can't come in and take anything. They can't seize anything. It's a way for us to protect our assets. Now, with that being said, we also have to update the situation where after everybody started leaving, Janelle left, Christine left, he hadn't been with Mary for a number of years. According to him, I think at least 3 years now. He hasn't been with Mary and considered himself divorced and separated from Mary. Now all of a sudden, Robin and him came up with a new LLC. And the name of that LLC is Dabsark. It's Dabsark, which is the Robin's kids' initials and Robin and Kody's initials at the end. Now, with that being said, that LLC, I'm kind of curious. If Kody did what I think and kind of suspect he may have done, he may have taken the assets from the Kody Brown LLC, where he and the sister wives are listed as equal partners, and transferred those assets and funneled those assets to Dabsark, which the sister wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, are not partners, and put all those assets in that name. Now, if he did that, you messed up, brother. You messed up big time. Because even though the LLC will protect you to a point, because it's a corporation, as a LLC, person who's running the LLC, you have a fiduciary responsibility to all the partners of the LLC, meaning that the money that's spent and the money that comes into the LLC, they have a right to, and you have a responsibility to them to try to protect and increase their investment as best you can through any legal means possible. There was a question early on when Janelle was trying to purchase her home, where she was talking about there's money that's in this account, and I take the money down to the tax people, and I know it's in the account, and I see that some money is being spent for approved purchases, but there's also some money that may be inappropriately used. That money that may be inappropriately used would be the equivalent of, or potentially could be the equivalent of, embezzlement. Meaning that if Kody is in charge of the piggy bank and Kody decides that he wants to purchase things for Robin or buy things for Robin, whether it's cars, clothes, trips, or whatever the case may be, and there's no business purpose for those funds coming out of the business, then he could be in trouble. He could be in a lot of trouble. And that's the weird part about setting up the corporate entity of an LLC, because it seems like a good idea on the surface, because with setting up a corporation, especially a limited liability corporation or S Corp or even a C Corp, you have certain protections that you just don't have as a particular individual independent business owner. So for instance, I buy a car and I get in a car accident. They can come after my house, and they can come after money I have in the bank. They can come after my investments. If I have a car that I purchased I formulate a company, and I call that company My Take on Reality LLC, and My Take on Reality buys that car, and I drive it as an employee of that company. If I get in a car accident, then the people could go after My Take on Reality, but they can't come after me. You see what I'm saying? So there is protections that are involved with having an LLC, which is why it becomes attractive. Those protections are called a corporate veil. So there's a separation between me, James the individual, and James the CEO and president of My Take on Reality LLC. With that separation, I would be liable for some things. The corporation would be liable for some things. Things I'm liable for have nothing to do with the corporation. Things the corporation do have nothing to do with me. The problem that Kody may have is that if he used any of that money from Kody Brown LLC for personal reasons, then he could get in a lot of trouble. Because that would be a way, inappropriate use of corporate funds is a way to pierce the corporate veil. So instead of them just being able to go after the defunct Kody Brown LLC, Kody Brown Entertainment LLC, they could go after Kody Brown and Robin, because they're married, and sue them personally, especially if they're making purchases for themselves. If he's buying things and he's putting, like, as Kody Brown is the president of Kody Brown Entertainment with the sister wives, and he's buying things for his wife, Robin, it's the same thing as you buying it for yourself. Nobody is being fooled by that. It was weird when Kody was talking historically about how he likes to move assets around and not have stuff in his name so he could fool the state and fool the government, which is on tape in the sister wives' confessionals, tapes, and reels. When he said stuff like that, you're admitting to a crime. The crime is fraud, and you're admitting to that crime. And if you would admit to that crime, then it would also make sense that you may hide or conceal assets from your partners as you're divorcing them and separating from them, and you're divesting from these relationships, and you're trying to hide the assets because you want to keep all the money. While I was taping the video, I forgot to mention this one aspect of the Kody Brown Entertainment LLC portfolio that I think is important. As we recall, there was a point where both Janelle and Mary had made admissions that when they sold their homes in Las Vegas, they both took the money or the proceeds that they received from those home sales and gave it to the family so that Christine could purchase her home and Robin could purchase her home. In Janelle's words, they gave some money to Christine and they gave a lot of money to Robin so that she could purchase her home. Now, Christine, she purchased her home in Arizona. Then when she sold her house in Las Vegas, she gave the money back to the family, and she had been making those payments herself, and that's how Kody's name came off of her property in Arizona. Now that begs the question, if the family had made these large investments into Kody Brown Entertainment LLC as part of land purchases from the company, then they would be entitled to certain revenue that is generated from those purchases. That money can't just get washed through the company because you want to use it. It has to have some business relationship. So there is a possibility that Christine, Mary, and Janelle have some claim not only to Robin's house, but any of the properties that were purchased in Arizona that are solely in Robin and Kody's name. Back to the show. It'll be interesting to watch, and I'm kind of curious if this is one of the things that, if they are meeting with a lawyer, if this is the thing that they're actually meeting with a lawyer for. This could be ugly. This could get really ugly. And if it does get ugly, I will say this. From what I see on the outside, I'm not sure what goes on in the bedrooms or what happens in the house or how the phone calls are going. I'm just saying from what I saw in that tell-all, it seems to me that it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You sat around and you poked the bear as many times as you could. You went after Mary, trash talked her. You went after Christine. You ran her in the ground for an entire season of the show. You went after Janelle, ran her down. You went after their kids. You've been separating from their kids, breaking up the relationship you have with their children, running them in the ground, talking about they not this, they not that. And then you turn around and you know you're doing illegal stuff and you do all that anyway. You're a maniac. And that is, quite frankly, what the kids say. You F around and you gonna find out. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die.